Hello there. I'm Luna, and welcome to Stories for Sleepless Nights. Here, we share tales from history, myths from ancient times, wonders of nature, lives of great thinkers, and deep philosophies. All of these stories are crafted to help you relax, unwind, and drift off to sleep. If there's a particular story or topic you'd like to hear about in a future episode, please feel free to share it in the comments. And remember to follow us on Spotify and YouTube so you don't miss any new stories. Tonight, we will explore the life and profound ideas of Confucius, a man whose wisdom shaped Chinese civilization for thousands of years. We will look at the world he lived in and how his thoughts continue to touch people even today. Now, before we begin our journey, let's take a moment to settle in. Find a comfortable position, whether you are lying down or sitting up. Gently close your eyes if that feels right for you. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose, feeling your chest and belly rise. Hold it for just a moment. Then, slowly let that breath out through your mouth, feeling any tension leave your body. Let's do that one more time. Breathe in slowly and deeply, and then breathe out, letting go of any worries or thoughts. Just let your body relax. Feel yourself sinking a little deeper into your bed or chair. As you continue to breathe softly and evenly, let the story begin. As we settle into this evening, let us travel back to the world where Confucius first opened his eyes. He was born into a time known as the Spring and Autumn period. This was a long stretch of ancient Chinese history, lasting from about 771 BC to 476 BC. It was a period marked by great change and much trouble. The vast land of China, which had once been united under a strong central government, was now broken. It was like a great puzzle where all the pieces had come apart. Many smaller kingdoms, each with its own ruler, dotted the landscape. These rulers often called themselves dukes or marquises. They looked upon their neighbors with suspicion and envy. This led to constant warfare. Armies marched across fields, clashing in fierce battles. Cities were besieged. Small towns were taken and retaken. Life for common people was often filled with fear and uncertainty. They never knew when soldiers might arrive or when their homes might be caught in the middle of a conflict. peace that people longed for was hard to find. Along with the fighting came social unrest. The old ways of doing things, the traditions that had held society together for centuries, began to fall apart. People in power often acted selfishly, caring more about their own gain than about the well-being of their subjects. This meant that the gap between the rich and the poor grew wider. Many people felt lost. They saw a decline in moral behavior, a sense that right and wrong were no longer clear. Kindness and fairness often took a back seat to greed and personal power. The central authority of the Zhou dynasty, which had ruled China for many hundreds of years, was steadily losing its grip. The Zhou kings still held the title of Son of Heaven, but their power was mostly just a name. They could no longer control the many feudal lords who governed the various states. These lords acted as if they were kings themselves, making their own rules and fighting their own wars. The king's commands often went unheard or simply ignored. It was a time when the old system had crumbled and a new one had not yet taken its place. This turbulent environment, with its constant wars, broken society, and loss of moral compass, created a deep yearning among the people. There was a strong desire for peace, for order, and for a way to bring back stability and proper conduct. People yearned for a leader or a set of ideas that could guide them out of the chaos. This desperate need for a better way of life was the fertile ground from which Confucius's philosophy would later grow. He saw the problems around him clearly and dedicated his life to finding solutions. It is interesting to note that this same period of great upheaval was also a time of rich intellectual growth. The widespread problems made many smart people start to think deeply about how to fix society. Many different schools of thought, each with its own ideas about how the world should be governed and how people should live, sprang up across China. It was like many different flowers blooming at once, each offering its own color and scent. This vibrant era of intellectual debate and philosophical exploration is often called the 100 Schools of Thought. Confucius was just one of the many great thinkers who arose during this truly remarkable period. From the turbulent times we just spoke about, where China sought a new direction, a remarkable figure was born. This was Confucius. He came into the world in the year 551 before the Common Era. His birth took place in the state of Lu, which is now known as Quefu, in the Shandong province of China. His birth name was Confucius. In later times, scholars from the West changed this name a little to make it easier for them to say. This is how he came to be known as Confucius. He did not have an easy start to life. His father passed away when Confucius was very young, and his mother followed soon after. He grew up without much money. This meant he had to learn to take care of himself from a very early age. He lived in humble surroundings and faced many challenges that come with poverty. Despite these hardships, young Confucius showed a deep love for learning. He did not have the chance to go to grand schools like children from rich families. Instead, he taught himself. He spent countless hours studying old books and ancient texts. He learned about the rituals and ceremonies of the past. He listened to music and understood its importance. He also read about history and poetry, soaking up all the knowledge he could find. He worked hard to understand the wisdom of the ages. As he grew older, his intelligence and strong work ethic became clear. He took on small jobs in the government of his home state. For a time, he worked as a granary overseer. This meant he was in charge of managing the storage of grain, making sure everything was counted and kept in order. Later, he became the superintendent of pastures, where he looked after the animals. These roles, though small, showed that he had good skills for managing things, and that he valued order in every task. During this time, people began to notice his wisdom. He started to share his knowledge with others, and his reputation as a teacher grew steadily. People sought him out to learn from his understanding of the ancient ways and his thoughts on how people should live. It is also an interesting fact that Confucius was believed to come from a very old and respected family line. Some say his ancestors were part of the royal house of the Shang dynasty, a powerful kingdom that ruled China many hundreds of years before his time. This gave him a connection to a long and important history. As Confucius's wisdom became known and his reputation as a teacher grew, he began to feel a stronger call. He believed his ideas could do more than just teach a few students. He felt they could help an entire society. So, he decided to leave his home state of Lu and travel to other lands. He became a traveling sage, moving from one feudal state to another. His goal was clear. He wanted to find a ruler who would listen to his vision. He sought a leader who would be willing to put his ideas into practice to create a truly harmonious society. He traveled to states like Wei, Song, Chen, and Kai. He walked many miles, covering great distances, always carrying his message of order and good government. However, his journey was not easy. He faced many challenges during these prolonged wanderings. Rulers often found his teachings too demanding or not practical enough for their immediate needs. They were more concerned with warfare and power struggles than with moral leadership. Confucius often met with rejection and misunderstanding. Some saw his focus on ancient rituals and moral behavior as old-fashioned or even weak in a time of conflict. There were even times when he faced physical danger, having to flee from states where his presence was unwelcome, or where political turmoil threatened his life. Despite these hardships, Confucius never lost his faith. He held an unwavering belief that moral leadership and proper conduct, what he called ritual propriety, were the only ways to bring back order and stability to the fractured land. He continued to teach and share his ideas wherever he went. At one point, he returned to his home state of Lu. There, he had a brief but impactful time in government. He might have served as the minister of justice. During this period, it is said that crime rates fell and the state became more orderly. This short time showed what could happen when his principles were put into action. A key idea that Confucius spoke about was the junzi. This word means a gentleman or an exemplary person. A junzi was not simply someone born into nobility. Instead, it was someone who had developed strong moral character. This person would act with kindness, integrity, and wisdom. They would always do the right thing, not for reward, but because it was right. Confucius believed that such people were essential for good leadership. If rulers and officials were junzi, society would naturally become just and peaceful. During all his travels, Confucius was never truly alone. He was often accompanied by a loyal group of devoted disciples. These students believed in his teachings and stayed with him, learning from his wisdom and supporting his quest for a better world. Confucius spent his life thinking deeply about how people should live and how society could be made better. He developed a set of core ideas that became the heart of his philosophy. These ideas were meant to guide individuals toward becoming the Junzi, the exemplary person, and to help create a peaceful and orderly world. One of the most important ideas was called Ren. This word means benevolence, humaneness, or compassion. Confucius taught that Ren was the highest virtue, the ultimate goal for every person. It was about loving others and showing kindness in all actions. It meant feeling empathy for everyone, understanding their joys and sorrows. A simple way to understand Ren is through the golden rule. Do not do to others what you do not want done to yourself. If a person practiced Ren, they would always treat others with respect and care, wanting the best for them. The next key idea was Li. This word refers to rites, rituals, and propriety. But Li was much more than just religious ceremonies. It was about all the social norms, the proper way to behave in every situation. It covered everything from how to greet someone, to how to act in a family, to how leaders should govern. Li was like a rule book for good manners and respectful conduct. When everyone followed Li, interactions became smooth and predictable. It helped to maintain social harmony, making sure people knew their place and their duties, and treated each other with the right amount of respect. Li provided the framework for Ren to be expressed in the world. The third main concept was Yi. This means righteousness or justice. He was about doing what was morally right. It was the inner compass that told a person which actions were good and which were bad. A person with Yi would act in accordance with both Ren and Li. They would not just follow rules blindly, but would understand the moral reasons behind them. For example, if a rule seemed unfair, a person with Yi would know it was wrong to follow it without question. Yi guided individuals to make fair choices and to stand up for what was just. These three ideas, Ren, Li, and Yi, were not separate. They were deeply connected. Ren was the inner feeling of goodness. Li was the outward expression of that goodness through proper actions. And Yi was the moral judgment that made sure Ren and Li were applied correctly. Together, they formed the fundamental principles for both a moral individual and a well-ordered society. Confucius believed that if people cultivated these virtues within themselves, they would naturally contribute to a better world. He taught that through diligent self-cultivation, through constant learning and practice, anyone could aspire to become a junzi, a person of great moral character. Confucius understood that for society to be truly harmonious, the principles of Ren, Li, and Yi needed a clear structure. He believed that order began in the smallest units of society, like the family, and then spread outwards. To achieve this, he laid out a model based on 5 fundamental human relationships. These relationships were seen as the building blocks of a stable and ethical society. The first of these relationships was between ruler and subject. In this pairing, the ruler had a duty to be benevolent and just, setting a moral example for the people. In return, the subjects were expected to be loyal and obedient to their ruler. It was a two-way street where good governance inspired loyalty. Next came the relationship between father and son. This was a very important one in Confucian thought. The father was to be loving and responsible, guiding his son with wisdom. The son, in turn, was to show respect, obedience, and care for his father. This strong family bond was seen as the foundation for all other relationships. The third relationship was between husband and wife. Each had distinct roles and responsibilities. The husband was to provide for and protect his family, while the wife managed the household and nurtured the children. Mutual respect and understanding were key to this partnership. Then there was the relationship between older brother and younger brother. The older brother was expected to be kind and guide his younger sibling. The younger brother was to show deference and respect to his elder. This helped maintain order and support within the family. Finally, the fifth relationship was between friends. This one was unique because it was the only relationship among the 5 that was considered equal. Friends were to treat each other with trust, honesty, and loyalty. They supported each other and offered good counsel. These 5 relationships, though often hierarchical, were always reciprocal. This meant that duties and responsibilities existed on both sides. It was not just about one person commanding and the other obeying. Instead, it was about mutual respect and understanding the roles each person played. At the heart of the family relationships and extending into society was the concept of Zio, or filial piety. This was considered a paramount virtue. Filial piety meant showing deep respect, care, and obedience towards one's parents and elders. It involved supporting them in their old age, honoring their memory, and making sure their needs were met. Confucius taught that if a person could properly practice filial piety within their own family, this sense of respect and duty would naturally extend to their community and their ruler, helping to foster harmony in the broader society. These structured relationships were designed to create a stable and harmonious social fabric. Everyone knew their place and their duties, and this brought order and predictability to daily life. It was also crucial that people truly lived up to the titles and roles they held. This idea was called the rectification of names, or shangaming. If a ruler acted like a true ruler, and a father acted like a true father, then society would naturally be in order. It was not enough to just hold a title. One had to embody its virtues. While Confucius championed these ideas for a better society, his later years saw a shift in his focus. He spent much of his final time not actively seeking out rulers, but rather dedicating himself fully to teaching his many disciples. He gathered around him a loyal group of students, passing on his wisdom and guiding them in their moral and intellectual development. During this period, Confucius also took on a significant role in preserving and organizing ancient knowledge. He carefully edited and compiled classical texts that were vital to Chinese culture. Among these were the Book of Odes, a collection of ancient poetry, and the Book of History, which contained records of past events and speeches. By doing this, he ensured that the rich heritage of the past was not lost, and his interpretations helped shape how these important texts were understood for centuries to come. Confucius passed away in 479 BCE at the age of 72. After his death, his ideas were not immediately accepted by everyone. Many rulers were still caught up in warfare and saw little use for his moral teachings. However, his devoted disciples made sure his philosophy would live on. They diligently collected his sayings, conversations, and teachings, compiling them into a book known as the Analects. This book became the most important source for understanding Confucian thought. Over time, the wisdom of Confucius gained more recognition. His teachings were eventually embraced by the powerful Han Dynasty, which ruled China from 206 BCE to 220 CE. During this period, Confucianism was elevated to the status of the national ideology. This meant that his ideas about government, education, and social order became the official way of thinking for the entire empire. For more than 2,000 years, Confucius's philosophy had a profound and lasting impact on Chinese civilization. It shaped the country's education system, influencing the imperial examinations that determined who would serve in government. His emphasis on moral leadership and ethical conduct guided generations of government administrators. The 5 relationships and the concept of filial piety became deeply ingrained in Chinese family life, providing a strong framework for social stability. His ethical thoughts influenced individual behavior and the norms of society. Confucianism's influence also spread far beyond China's borders. Countries like Korea, Japan, and Vietnam adopted many of his ideas, incorporating them into their own cultures, governments, and educational systems. Even in modern times, the relevance of Confucianism continues. While it has faced challenges and periods of decline, there have also been recent revivals as people look to ancient wisdom for guidance in contemporary society. As a testament to his enduring legacy, the temple and cemetery of Confucius, along with the Kong family mansion in his hometown of Quafu, are recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. These places honor the man whose ideas have shaped a civilization for millennia. We have now come to the end of our story about Confucius. Before we fully drift off, let us take a moment to gently bring our attention back to our bodies. We will do a passive body scan. Start by noticing your toes. Feel them resting inside your socks or against the sheets. Just observe them without trying to change anything. Then, slowly move your awareness up to your feet. Notice the soles, the tops of your feet, and your heels. Feel the contact they make with whatever they are resting on. Next, shift your attention to your ankles and then move up to your calves. Feel the muscles there, soft and heavy. Move your awareness to your knees and then to your thighs. Notice how your legs feel, perhaps warm or cool, heavy against the bed. Now bring your attention to your hips and your lower back. Feel the support beneath you. Slowly move up your spine, noticing each part of your back, from your lower back to your middle back, and then to your upper back. Let any tension you find gently melt away. Shift your focus to your stomach and chest. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your breath. Notice the rhythm, slow and steady. Move your awareness to your shoulders, letting them drop and relax. Then move down your arms, feeling your elbows, forearms, wrists, and hands. Notice your fingers, relaxed and still. Finally, bring your awareness to your neck, allowing it to soften. Move up to your jaw, letting it release. Feel your cheeks, your eyes, and your forehead. Notice the top of your head, feeling a sense of peace and stillness. Allow your whole body to feel pleasantly heavy and deeply relaxed. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Stories for Sleepless Nights. We hope it helped you find rest and allowed you to step away from your daily thoughts. Remember that Stories for Sleepless Nights is available on Spotify and YouTube. If you have a topic you would like to hear a story about, please feel free to add it in the comment box. This is Luna, and I hope to join you again soon. Until then, have a good night.